Hi, this is the First Lady of Sports Talk. This week on Bras, Panties and Sports, we ask, is it time to end the NBA draft lottery? Enjoy the show.
You are listening to Bras, Panties, and Sports. And, we are in the throes of the NBA playoffs. I'm Spitface. Please welcome our host, the First Lady of Sports Talk, Cheryl Smith.
Hey, good morning. Yes. The NBA is heating up. We down to these final teams. So we got to see what's going to go on.
It's been wild. It's been wild and woolly. All right, this week I'll shout out. We have performances from Solex. Will he find his shining star or get the cold feel of the mute button? First Lady, we're ready. What you say?
Each week, we try to figure out what is going on in the sports world. Not the plays of the week, more like the players of the week. Are they trying to tell us something? So we ask, what you saying? Fly, little birdie, fly. Time keeps on slipping into the future. Time keeps on slipping into the future. So I want to fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let the spirit carry me. I want to fly right into the future. The little birdies known as the Cleveland Cavaliers wish they could fly far away from being ousted by the Pacers 4-1. Are the Pacers woefully underrated? Cavaliers slightly overrated. The Knicks are one game away from eliminating the Celtics. Who should the Pacers be rooting for to win? Will there be a coaching change on the Cavs? George Foreman, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, both rest in peace. Bernard Hopkins, Roy Jones Jr., and the Steve Miller Band are asking, what you saying? Well, the Pacers are very much underrated. They have been the best team in the NBA since the All-Star game. They have a 20-9 record since the All-Star game, and they won 8-2 prior to going into the playoffs. So this team was really hot. They did it last year. They ended well, and now they started off very rough this season. A lot of people had counted them out, but they pulled it together, and they were the hottest team going into the playoffs. So this is not surprising that the Pacers have a repeated notch to the Eastern Conference Finals. And, let's say it. Many felt that the Pacers were lucky last year because they played the Bucks again, but last year they played the Bucks this time without Giannis, who was injured, and then they played the Knicks. Now, we know the Knicks were banged up. They didn't have Hart, they didn't have OG, they didn't have Mitchell Robinson, who all of them were injured. So the Pacers really got lucky to advance last year. This season, again, they did play the Bucks without Lillard, who got injured in Game 4 in the first quarter. Let's face it, it was clearly that the Pacers were the best team in that Bucks series, even though Lillard got hurt. They were clearly they actually were up 2-1, and then they won that game when Lillard got hurt. And then Game 5, the Bucks basically gave the game away. They could have made it 3-2, but then they lost. So, the Pacers were the better team. Then they had to play the Cavs team. And, yes, Darius Garland had been injured, but guess what? He played. Donovan Mitchell had a banged-up ankle, but he played, and he played quite well for somebody who had banged up. So, again, the Pacers – again, in this series, they look like the better team to me than the Cavaliers. And, everybody's going to question again about the Pacers. whether or not they get by easily because of the fact that when they play these teams are injured. Injury is a part of the game. I mean, you can't say that. Injuries are a part of the game. It is. You got to be healthy when you're in the playoffs. That's for sure. But you got to give the Pacers their props. You got to give them their props. Now, the Cavs were the second best team throughout the regular season. You know, OKC was the best, but the Cavs were the second best team. But, again, the Cavs have problems in the playoffs. For 3 straight years, they're not the same team in the playoffs as they are in the regular season. Therefore, if you want to call them overrated, you can, because they have not performed well in the playoffs. That's the issue with the Cavs. So they play well in the regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs, yes, they are overrated. And then he said, we got to wait to see what the Cavs will do in the playoffs. And then again, it happened again. And what was so sad about it, that's truth. The day before the game 5, he sent a text out and told his teammates, if you don't believe, don't come to the game. Don't show up. And guess what Max Strus did? He put out an over. He didn't score one single point. And, I mean, that just shows you how the Cavs perform in the playoffs. I mean, you talk the talk, but you don't walk the talk. And that's the problem with the Cavs. They did a lot, you know, they can talk in the regular season, how they've been playing well, but when it comes to the playoffs, they do not perform. So, yes, you have to say they are overrated, very much overrated. That's why J.B. Bickerstaff was fired last year from the Cavs as their coach because of their playoff performances. So I'm wondering, is ownership going to fire Kenny Atkinson, the coach of the year? No, he will not be fired since this is his first year. So he will not be fired. But trust me, if this pattern continues year after year under Atkinson, they're going to have a short leash on him also. And, you know, it's one of those things with the Cavs. Every year, they just do not perform in the playoffs. Now, the Pacers should root for the Celtics because they don't have Tatum. I mean, if you think about it, why would you want to play the Knicks? You want to play the team that's currently weakened by the fact that they don't have their best player. And the Pacers, you know, they played the Knicks last year when the Knicks were not healthy at all. And we know the New York Knicks. I know I'm a Knicks fan, and I want them to play the Pacers. So the Knicks definitely got to win before we see the Pacers. But I want them to play the Pacers. And the funny thing about the Pacers, when they did run into a team that was completely healthy, that was last year when they went to the Eastern Conference Finals, the Boston Celtics swept them in 4 straight games. So, again, they haven't played a team that is fully healthy. So this year, they have a chance to either play the Celtics, who, again, are missing their best player, or they're going to play the Knicks, who's fully healthy. I'm quite sure the Pacers are rooting for the Boston Celtics. I mean, like I said, we in New York, we want those Pacers because we felt bad about that Game 7 in Madison Square Garden. We were hanging on the thread in that match, and we were injured that entire season, and we took the Pacers to 7 games, and they brought back the same team from last year. So imagine them bringing back the same team. We have a different team, but we're healthy this year. So, I mean, it's going to be one of those things. But, you know, I'm going to give the Pacers the prop. The Pacers have a certain way that they play. They strengthen up their defense. So it would be a good series regardless if it's with the Boston Celtics or the New York Knicks. So you got to give Pacers their prop. Spitface, what are you saying about this Pacer-Cavs series? All right, Spitface. Technical problems?
First lady, I was just sitting over here sipping on a cup of coffee. I didn't want to be be choking on, Now, the Pacers, that is so interesting how the Cavs went down. And the Cavs have, Cavalier fans probably miss LeBron. I can see them missing LeBron. LeBron did get them a championship, and the playoff record was a whole lot better, of course. And I'll just say that the Cavs were not overrated, but the playoffs is a different beast. And the Pacers were probably, I'll just say, they were where they were, given how they had played. So, I don't think either one was more or less, whatever. They were just about right, but the playoffs is a different thing. Now, if in one way, I would say the Pacers would want to play the Celtics, given the health issues with Jason not playing. But the thing I think about there is that if some way the Celtics get past the Knicks, the Pacers may not want to play the Celtics, because that means that they would have overcame that situation. So that means somebody else, or maybe somebody else's, stepped up in ways where they were like, well, you know what, we know how to win without it. And that could be even more dangerous for the Pacers. And the way I'm looking at it is, whoever wins between the Knicks and the Celtics, because it's not inevitable, but the odds are in those Knickerbockers' favor. But either one of those teams can beat the Pacers. Either one of those teams. Now, will there be a coaching change on the Cavs? Nope, not right now. But boy, and the Cavs coach has to look at the regular season and say, okay, what? Yes, we have to win, and we have to win in the regular season. Do we chase having the best record in the East, or do we chase being ready to win in the playoffs? And that's a challenging dynamic, because you don't want to lose games during the regular season, the best record, seeding, all of that. But those Michael Jordan teams, at one point, they wanted to just dominate. And they all want to dominate. But at one point, they dominated the regular season. Then it started being, well, wait just a minute. We're spending all this energy, and we're playing these ways to, we just need to get in the playoffs. Let us just get in the playoffs, and we'll be up there and, and position it. But we'll get in the playoffs, and then we'll do our thing. And a little bit with the Lakers and the Mamba and Shaq Daddy and that crew. There was a point where we wanted them, and then it started being, do what you can to have these players ready for the playoffs, that kind of mentality. So the Pacers are in trouble. Whether it's the Knicks or the Celtics. The Pacers are in trouble because the Knicks match up well, and they on fire. The Celtics, they overcome and win that series. Oh no, it's all over. But the shouting, the Pacers getting ready to get spanked. So, First Lady, that's all I'm saying. Go Knicks.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the Pacers. I mean, it's going to be a good series, and everybody initially had picked the Cavs and the Celtics were going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. Well, we know that's not going to happen, definitely because the Cavs are not going to be there. Now we have to see if the Celtics are going to be there or is it's going to be the Knicks. So, we will, I'm hoping it's the Knicks. But the Knicks must win Game 6. You don't want to go to a Game 7 and return to Boston. All right, well, we're going to talk about the Knicks now. Over to you, Spitface.
Don't call it. All right, don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years, rocking my tears and putting suckers in bed, making the tears rain down like a monsoon. Listen to the bass go boom. Explosion, overpowering, over the competition, I'm towering. Record shop when I drop these lyrics that'll make you call the cops. Don't you dare stare, you better move. Don't ever compare me to the rest that'll all get sliced and diced. Competition paying the price. I'm gonna knock you out, huh? Mama said knock you out, huh? We are talking about the knockout punch to the Celtics that was supposed to happen after losing Jason Tatum to injury. The Knicks played the Celtics in an elimination game for said Celtics and got beat 127-102. Is this a case of the Celtics playing for pride and making it a series? Should the Knicks be worried the Celtics can have this kind of performance without their superstar? If the Celtics pull out a victory and win the series, is there a dead coach walking in New York? He wrote Satchel Paige, Walter Buckletter, and James School Papa Bell are asking, what you saying? I would start with that last part. If the Celtics pull out a victory and win the series, is there a dead coach walking in New York? Ooh. How many times have I seen where a coach almost gets them there, and it's been tough, and the coach is tough, and then next year they get rid. They just go, well, you know what? We got everybody. We're not gonna fire the team, so we fire the coach, even though you're getting them there. It just happens, and for the right now, it's been a long time for Knicks fans to I'll say to be in the final. It's just been a long, long time. And if they don't pull it out and, and get into the conference championships, the coach might get the axe. I think it's already I think it's a 50-50 proposition that the Knicks do not win this series. They let the Celtics come, rise from the dead. We might see dead coach, or we might see a zombie coach. So I'm going to put it at a 50-50. Now, the Knicks I say the Knicks should be worried that the Celtics had that kind of performance with other players, and why they should be worried is it ain't over till it's over. You want to beat these Celtics. Get them now. Do not have this go to a game 7. One thing in boxing, great boxers always say, don't let it go to the judges. Don't let it go to the scorecard. Knock them out. And if the Knicks mess around and play with their food, they'll be watching the Celtics playing pace. First Lady, what you say?
Well, that's what I think. Yeah, the Celtics, they that was a beatdown in the Knicks in Game 5, because you have to say the Celtics were playing with pride. and they was playing for Jason Tatum. I mean, let's face it, he went down with Achilles, torn Achilles, so they was playing for their teammate, and they were playing with pride. And Jaylen Brown, he became the leader, and he did everything right in that game. And it's not a surprise because throughout the season, the Celtics played well without Tatum. During the regular season, they were 8-2 when Tatum wasn't in the game. And to me, the Celtics play better without him because the ball movement is much better when Tatum is not in the game, because when Tatum's in the game, he does a lot of iso ball where he's pounding the ball a lot, similar to the Knicks' Jalen Brunson. Now, the concern for the Knicks was the fact that they did not play any defense in that game. The Knicks, again, continued to allow the Celtics to get open threes, and they played horrible transition defense. Can you believe the Knicks allowed Derek White to have 34 points, shooting 7 from 13 from the three-point line? I mean, it was ridiculous. The Knicks did not play the defense that won them Game 4 in the second half. When they played in Game 4 in the second half, they played great team defense. They were switching the threes. For some reason, Tom Thibodeau went back to that stupid defense that they've been playing all season with the drop coverage. I don't understand why they do that. That's where they show where they jump at the three-point shooter, then they try to scramble back to their man. Just switch it. When you switch it, that's when you were winning. Why do you go away from something that was working? So hopefully they will do that in Game 6. And another thing, I watched every game the Knicks played. And the Knicks just do not have a killer instinct. They don't. They've had numerous chances when teams, during the regular season, when they was up, they had a chance to put their foot on teams' necks. They don't do that. During the playoffs, they never close out a team on their first try. It's sad to say. They don't do that. They don't do it on the first try. Game 6 is a must for the Knicks. The problem for me, Game 6 is at MSG. And that's the biggest concern that I have, is whether they can close the Celtics out at MSG. You would think that you would come home and you would love to come home to close a team out. But the Knicks have a problem with that. The Knicks haven't done this since 1999 when they beat the Pacers in Game 6 in the 1999 Eastern Conference Finals. That's when the Knicks went to the finals that year. And remember, they didn't do it last year with the Sixers. They had to go to Philly to close them out. This year, they didn't do it against Detroit. They could have done it in 5 games at MSG. They didn't do it then. They had to go to Detroit to close them out in 6 games. I mean, the issue is they are playing the defending champs. The Knicks do not want to go back to Boston. So if they're going to lose, listen to me, they need to close the Celtics out in Game 6. You don't want to take a chance to go to Game 7 at Boston. You don't want to do that. But again, this is an issue. Like I said, it's been a long time since they closed out MSG. For some reason, the Knicks do not play well at MSG for big games. I think MSG is lit. I've been to MSG several times, and I'm telling you, when the Knicks are rolling, there is no other loud arena or more fantastic fans than the New York Knicks when things are winning. And most Knicks fans are passionate fans. And you see they tore up 7th Avenue when they won a game. Can you imagine if they win the series? What New York would be? And can you wonder if you do it at MSG? I mean, they need to do this. And I'm going to tell you this. If they go to Boston, they lose that Game 7, yes, you can tell Coach Tiz will be fired. I didn't even say probably be fired. He will be fired because there's no excuse for you having a 3-1 lead and you don't get your team to that promised land of winning that series. There is absolutely nothing that Coach Tiz would, there's nothing he can say. And Leon Rose, the president of the New York Knicks, would have to let Tiz go because Tiz did not get the job done for 2 seasons. 2 seasons, this team could not get out the second round if they lose this series to the Celtics. All right? And they just can't. They can't bring Tiz back again. So, yes, the Knicks are playing for their lives, and they're playing for the coach. They better win in Game 6 because if they don't win and they got to go back to the Boston Celtics arena and they lose, yes, Coach Tiz is dead coach walking. Dead coach walking. That's it.
Dead coach. We will see what Tibbs in the gang do, First Lady. Okay, you have the last word. Please take us to break.
Stay tuned. Up next, we have a performance from Solex on Shout Out Part 1.
Go next. The music flows in from around the globe to get a shout out from the panel. First Lady, I can't wait to hear the music from Solex.
On Shout Out, we feature new independent artists who are looking to find their shining star. If we like what we hear, we'll give the track a shout out. If we don't like it, we hit the mute. On the first part of Shout Out, we are featuring music from Solex out of Greenbelt, Maryland, for her hit album. They say it makes sense that most of the discussion about the musical background of, it's not a her, it's a him, of Solomon Edmond, a.k.a. Solex, revolves around faith and gospel music. All right, DJ, let's hear from him, and let's hear the song Falling For Ya.
Starlight, moonshine, red light, so hot, it feels right inside. Your love divine, like ooh. Got some fun for ya.
Okay. Well, that was Solex with Falling For You. I'm going to give this song a shout out. I guess Solomon Edmond must be either the writer because listening to the song was, obviously there's a female voice on it. She has a beautiful voice, but I'm definitely going to shout the song out. Spitface, you shouting the song out?
I'm shouting the song out. I kind of think that the mix had a particular groove to it, and I thought it was pretty nice. So I shouting it out.
Okay, shouting it out. On part 2 of Shout Out, we'll feature another performance by Solex. And speaking of performances, is that the sound of our favorite underwater friend? Is it time for Flip It?
All right. It is time for Flip It. While host the bend, the point, and then flip the script and the bend the opposing view. The NBA draft is over, and the Dallas Mavericks won the lottery and got the top pick. Is it time to end the lottery out of fairness to losing teams trying to rebuild the bill? The saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you're in the lottery, you have a losing team. It's fair. Looking at the situation, the teams that are in the lottery overall are the losing teams. And is it really fair to say, since you had the absolute worst, you've done so bad that we should let you have the top player coming out to be drafted, that you should just automatically get that? Now, I'm not sure that should be automatic. If your team is so bad that you have the worst record in the NBA, being able to bring in that star player can help your bottom line, but is it fair to the star player coming out? Because now they're saddled with a team that, through no fault of their own, the combination of the management, the players, coaching, got them in that situation. So mismanagement, bad coaches, player personnel wins you the automatic right to get the best player coming out. Like, that's going to miraculously change, like transform your team, and the player may be fantastic, but if everything around that player is falling apart, the management is horrible, the coach, can't coach Pee Wee League, what they gonna do other than bring them in, waste that talent until they move on to another team? So whether you're the team with the worst record or the fourth worst record, you're still a bad team, and all of them need help. So I don't see it as being unfair. It is what it is, and it just says, look, you losers, you pool of losers, you know, we gonna give you a chance to win at something. And more than likely, whoever they pick, like I said, the team ain't gonna get you. It's still gonna be a loser team. And but that player would, you know, and because it's the same as football, but at least in at least the lottery gives loser fans, the fans of these loser teams, just a little incentive to stay engaged. And that's the real deal. Because, when the Bulls got Michael Jordan, they were, amongst the loser teams, but they were already making the kind of moves to build. So, and most of these loser teams, they are hoping that player come in, but they're all losers. So, hey, let them have a little fun. First Lady, defend.
Well, the lottery was implemented in 1985 to deter teams from tanking. Many people thought teams were tanking to get that number one pick because obviously the number one pick was going to help their team in the future. The New York Knicks won the first lottery, and they got Patrick Ewing. And believe it or not, this is for young people, that first lottery involved random drawing of envelopes in a hopper. Now, what is a hopper? A hopper is a container that contains bulk material that typically tapers down and discharges the contents. So that's what it would happen. The envelopes were rolling around, and then they fall to the bottom. That's how it was done for the first lottery. And that's how the Knicks won it. And, everybody said it was not, everybody said that it was cheating. The Knicks cheated. The league, David Stearns cheated for the Knicks to win that lottery. Then they switched it in 1990. That's when they implemented the weighted system, the balls. So it's like a real lottery. Like how they do the real lottery, that's when the NBA decided to do it that way. And what they would do, the teams with the worst records, they would put the four picks would be in the four picks would come out the lottery, and so to ensure that the team with the worst record wouldn't have no less than the fifth pick, and that's when they went this weighted system. And then in 2019 they switched it to the team. It would be the worst four teams have equal chances to win the lottery. But this time it would include all 14 teams that didn't make the playoffs. See, before then, it was only the top 4 teams, or 5 teams, I believe. And now they decided to go with the worst 4 teams having equal chances with weighted lottery balls. Well, that's what the system is, and the system is by chance. So really, it is to deter teams for not tanking, because just because you have a losing season didn't mean that you were guaranteed to get the number one seed, the number one draft pick. So that really made teams try to win, because there was no guarantee that you're going to get the number one. Now, some teams did, some teams didn't. We all know the 76ers for years, they tanked, and that's what the process. If you remember, for 3 straight years, they were in the top. They had the chance to win the top pick. They did a couple of years, and look what got the 76ers. So the thing is, this is a system that the NBA feels is the appropriate system. Teams are aware of it. It's been this way for years, and the NBA thinks it deters tanking. And unfortunately, they had to add some more system changes, like to do the play-in tournament. the play-in tournament, that has helped with tanking also. So in conjunction with the lottery, the way the lottery is set up, and the play-in tournament, I just don't think the system is broken. So it's a fair system. The governors of these teams, they agreed to this system because they feared teams were tanking. So the system is what it is, and it's a fair system. It's based off the chances, and that's what they want it to be. That's it.
All right, First Lady, we have to flip the script. And the NBA did a great job ending teams tanking, but the lottery needs to go. It's unfair to the fans supporting a losing team. And, it's interesting that the NBA had the tanking problem. It's interesting that's how it went. And I'm looking at the NBA and Major League Baseball, and who do not have a lottery, and they have the same scenario where a team could, quote, tank to get that number one pick. And some of us folks hanging out with the fish, tanking for Tua. We remember tanking for Tua. And for some reason, it seems like in the NFL and in Major League Baseball, it may happen. I'll put it like that, or the thinking is that way. But it seems to be not like a flagrant or issue that they really had to address in a major way. But it does in the NBA. So that has me thinking that there's something else going on in the culture of the NBA management and owners, where they have to do these elaborate things to prevent tanking. And, I mean, this is really, they've had to expand the lottery. Now the teams that, the worst four teams get equal, balls in the lottery weighted and all of that. And it's like, it seems like a whole bunch of complications to handle the issue of teams tanking. When, you kind of want, well, I kind of wonder, couldn't they just give the NBA, the commissioner, the authority to punish teams that they deem as tanking? The NBA commissioner, maybe there's a committee, but before the draft, they look, they evaluate, and if they see certain patterns where, wait just a minute, you didn't want to win at this point, and then punish them. But all these complications, I think, are punishing the fans. Here are these hopeful fans of a loser franchise, and where the draft would normally help them acquire players, top players to actually implement a rebuild structure, it don't work out that way. So to me, the lottery, it starts being more suspicious and prone to doubt than it's worth. So I think the lottery needs to go, and the commissioner just should have more authority to deal with teams suspected of tanking. First Lady, defend.
Well, yeah, I mean, the lottery is definitely broken. That's an understatement. That's an understatement. And the reason why it's an understatement, because since 1985, only 7 teams with the worst record have won the lottery. Think about that. Since 1985, when they implemented the lottery system, whatever iteration of the lottery, only 7 teams with the worst record have won the lottery. So this system is not working. I mean, this year alone, the Dallas Mavericks had a 1 point, whatever percent it was, as slim as it was the lowest percentage in the history of the lottery, and they got the number 1 pick. The Utah Jazz was the worst team. They ended up with the 6th pick. The Washington Hapless Wizards ended up with the 5th pick, and the Charlotte Hornets ended up with the 4th pick. So this system is not working because it's not helping the teams with the worst record. So I think, again, there needs to be a switch. To me, I don't think they should include all 14 teams in the lottery. Why should a team like the Dallas Mavericks, who was yes, they had somebody else's pick, they did well, but the point is, why should they get a lottery when they were in the play-in tournament? To me, you should include all 14 teams in the lottery. You should include the worst 5 teams in the lottery and only let them pick for the number 1 team. That's the way, to me, it should be. I think they need to go back to one of their original systems of doing it, because I don't understand why and then to give them each the same weighted amount, that don't even make sense to me either. So, they need to look at tanking. And like I said, I think the advent of the play-in tournament has kind of curtailed a lot of the tanking, because you know what? The play-in tournament gives teams with a bad record a chance to play for something. So I think the NBA has evolved a little bit more since the lottery was originally implemented. And, Adam Silver, instead of worrying about fixing the All-Star game, I think you need to really fix something that really means something to the NBA, and that's the lottery. Because this lottery system is not working for those teams that are back. And sometimes you do got legitimate bad teams. And they had legitimate bad teams. I don't think a lot of these teams were tanking. I just think they are bad teams. Yes, you could address the tanking. If you see teams that are tanking at the end of the season, then you deal with it. You find them. You do whatever you need to do. But change the lottery. Do not have all 14 teams that did not make it to the playoffs in the lottery. That is in itself. It should only be the top 5 teams, and have that lottery that way and have it weighted based off of their positioning. And who cares if they tank to the top? I think they can curtail the tanking. I really do. So, this system is definitely broken, and the NBA needs to do something about it, like that, right away. Needs to be fixed right away.
All right, First Lady, I hear you on that one. Okay, First Lady, over to you for more flipping.
Yes. Baseball is finally allowing the induction of Shoeless Joe Jackson and Pete Rose into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. A committee has to vote them in. Should they? Spitface defend. They had the stats and they were punished enough. Let them in. Let them in.
Somebody knocking at the door. Somebody ringing the bell. Open the door and let them in. First Lady, Shoeless Joe Jackson and Pete Rose. from that big baseball park in the sky, I think they were punished enough because in their lifetime, they did not see themselves being inducted into the Hall of Fame. So it's really, at this point, I'll just say the punishment has fit the crime. They have the stats to be in, and I'll just say that there are members of the Hall who they did not commit baseball's ultimate sin, but they committed some sins that, well, I'll just say darn right criminal, and they're in the Hall of Fame. So you got wife abusers, you got murderers, you have a whole bunch of sordid people who are in the Hall of Fame. And so I can see the committee saying, this isn't really for them because I said they passed away. This isn't for them. This is more for baseball. And the accomplishments of two guys who did what they did, got the punishment they got, but to recognize what they accomplished on the field. And I think that's okay. And, and I don't know if how much their families probably deeply care about it, which is okay. But the men themselves never got to see it. So that's enough punishment. Go ahead, open the door, and let them in. First Lady, defend. Oh, the First Lady, that's it for me. First Lady, you muted?
This is not about Joe Jackson to me, truly Joe Jackson, because this man has been dead since 1951. So the Major League Baseball could have let him in a long time ago. I mean, he's been dead since 1951. This is about Pete Rose. This is the reason why they took them off of the baseball ban list. Really, it's not about them being allowed to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, because the Hall of Fame, basically they were banned from baseball, and they're taken off the ineligible list for baseball. So now they can be inducted in the Hall of Fame. And this is like I said, this had to do with Pete Rose. This whole thing that the commissioner for baseball did was about getting Pete Rose off the ban list, because these other guys, Joe Jackson, like I said, that incident happened in 1919 World Series when they threw the World Series, and the man died in 1951. Pete Rose died last year, so that and he was banned for life. So now that he has died, he's no longer, his life is gone. So that's why they removed them. And they needed to remove him because Pete Rose is everywhere about baseball. Charlie Hustle is baseball. And, as the pun has been there, I've been hearing all week, the pun has been saying, I've never been to the Baseball Hall of Fame, but they say when you go to the Baseball Hall of Fame, guess who do you see in the Baseball Hall of Fame? You see Pete Rose memorabilia. So if the man is so bad for baseball, then why are you using his likeness name at your Hall of Fame? So it is a double standard there. So I think that's why the commissioner Manafort, that's why he had to remove Pete Rose off of this list to save face. And to be honest with you, Pete Rose gambled on his team as a manager not a player. Matter of fact, I was trying to understand why wasn't he even in the Hall of Fame even before he became a manager. Because there was rumblings about him gambling, and that's why so much is determined by these sports writers that make these decisions regarding the Hall of Fame when they're on the ballot. But because his ballot they only allow you to have so many times to be on the ballot, his has gone and passed, so that's when they have this historical committee. That's the reason why there's a chance that he can be on the Hall of Fame, but it's going to take 2 years. That particular committee doesn't convene until 2027, I believe, 2026 or 2027. So he won't be on, if he gets voted in from the committee, it won't be until 2027. A lot of people are calling for the commissioner to convene the committee right so they can do the vote. But it's right now it's going to be 2 years. But anyway, this is about the Major League Baseball and the commissioner saved his face because of the way they disrespected Pete Rose and the way they've used him in their historical presentation in the Hall of Fame. All right, we're going to flip it. We're going to flip this script. Let's flip it at this point. Who does it really benefit? It doesn't change anything about what they did. They should not be voted in by the committee. Spitface defend.
First Lady, I have no sympathy for Pete Rose. None, nada. And Shoeless Joe Jackson, I have no sympathy for him either. And there is, some people would say that it's unfair. Why is it unfair? Now, is it unfair because Major League Baseball is still making money off of Pete Rose? Well, you know what? They're still making money off of Babe Ruth. They're still making money off of Lou Gehrig. They're still making money, off of Jurgensen Thinking. They're still, Willie Mays. Can I keep naming all the people they're still making money off of? And with Pete Rose, I'll just say that there's where you stand up and say, I did the thing. I deserve the punishment I got. I don't like the punishment. I wish it could be changed. And I may do things so that and take actions so that there would be a willingness to maybe give me a break. But Pete Rose didn't do that. He was a jerk to the end. And which literally, he was I should be in because I have the numbers and you should exclude what I did. And that just don't work. And yes, when you enter the Hall of Fame, you're seeing Pete Rose memorabilia. That is the cost of his actions and his subsequent actions after the commissioner said, no way, Jose. So, people, I have no sympathy for his family. I'm like, I have a family. We wish everybody well. Things don't work out. But wait, it's not like his family was, benefiting St. Jude, to help help children with childhood diseases. A legendary athlete, famous, but that doesn't mean that there's just some automatic benevolence that should be granted upon you, especially when your behavior has never been consistent with granting that kind of benevolence. So some say that bygones be bygones. The guy is dead. Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. Now, this is not a heroic figure that, wow, he overcame. Yeah, he may have had these traits, but he overcame something else. No. This is an arrogant person who, in the end, may have realized that his arrogance cost him any chance. But hey, he wrote it. He has to own it, and I think it would set an example of not so much like forgiveness. It's like, no, he didn't ask for that. It's almost like caving in to, hey, he did the thing, but we're going to let it go. No, if you didn't let it go back then, don't let it go now. First Lady, that's all I'll say.
Okay, so I hear you, yes. So, yes, Pete Rose, you saying Pete Rose was arrogant and he should not be allowed in. Well, since 1920, every major league clubhouse, Rule 21 has been hung on the front door, the walls, the clubhouse, everywhere. And what is Rule 21? You can't gamble on baseball. That's what Rule 21 is. Pete Rose knew about Rule 21, and he did it anyway. As you said, he was arrogant about it. He never owned up to it. Finally, he did own up to it in his book, but, he denied it for so many years that he gambled on baseball when he was the coach. So he didn't do it when he was a player, but it doesn't matter. He still did it as a coach. And he shouldn't be allowed in. I mean, for many years, the Raiders have kept out the people who did the steroids from the steroid time. You got Sammy Sosa, Marco Dyer, Alex Rodriguez, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens. None of them are in the Hall of Fame because guess what? They took steroids, and that's something that you can't do in the Major League Baseball. So why should an exception be made for Pete Rose? Pete Rose gambled on baseball. Yeah, he didn't gamble for his team to lose, but it doesn't matter. You still gamble on baseball, and you just can't do that. So, baseball is about the integrity of the game. It's about making sure that people abide by the rules that the league has put forth, and they know about this rule. And the fact that he was a jerk, like you said, Spitface, he was very arrogant about that. He denied it for so many years, and he didn't care. And he really, as a matter of fact, he stuck his middle finger out at the Major League Baseball. That's what he did, basically, to Major League Baseball. So, I mean, they just don't need to put Pete Rose. And I was a Charlie Hustle fan. I had to root for Pete Rose. I was a big Cincinnati Reds fan. I remember those days. I'm aging myself now when they had Charlie Hustle, Joe Morgan, Johnny Bench. I mean, I remember the Reds. And then he came to the Phillies, and he helped the Phillies to win. So, Charlie Hustle's been in our lives as a baseball player. He's a damn good baseball player, but he was a jerk, he was arrogant, and he didn't care. And when you don't care like that, we shouldn't care for you to go into the Hall of Fame. All right, Spitface, over to you to take us to break.
All right, First Lady, and no Hall of Fame for you. No Hall of Fame. On the other side of the break, we have another performance from Solex on Shout Out Part 2. Please keep your ears glued to those speakers.
Welcome back. The music flows from around the globe to get a shout-out from the crew. Spitface, over to you.
All righty. On the second part of shout out, let's see, we are featuring more music from Solex. Let's hear Take Me There. All right. Take me there. First Lady, what's the verdict? Shout out or the mute button?
Oh, I'm going to definitely shout it out. I like the jazzy song, and definitely can play that saxophone. So that's the forte of Solex, Solomon. definitely going to shout it out. Nice musical presentation.
Hey, had a little mood music. I'm giving it a shout out. Yeah, I'm with you, First Lady. Now that is seeing a shout out. You can check out Solex on the radio network. If you would like to be heard or have any comments, please send your emails and tracks to talent@oldgrumpyradio.com. First Lady, over to you.
All right. Before we get to your top stories, Spitface, just wanted to mention the prop bets start with the conference championships. Spitface, what is your top story to watch this week?
First Lady, you know the top story to watch this week is the Knicks and Game 6.
Yeah, that's your top story.
We got to find that. Yeah, we got to find out if Coach Tibbs will keep his job.
Yeah, to be honest with you, that was my top story too. But I don't have another top story. That is the top story. The top story is whether or not the Knicks are going to do what they haven't been able to do, and that's close out a team at MSG on Friday. All right, that's the top story for both you and me. All right, I just also want to say kudos to Asia Wilson. She becomes the 13th women's player, WNBA player, to have their own signature shoe. Asia Wilson's signature Nike shoe, the A1, was released this month to coincide with the WNBA season, which starts this weekend. That's the beginning of WNBA season. So kudos to Asia Wilson. Check out our current and previous episodes at Bras, Panties and Sports.com. This is Cheryl Smith, the First Lady of Sports Talk, and Spitface. You have been listening to Bras, Panties and Sports. See you next week. Go Knicks!